Please adhere to YouTube select guidelines before viewing the content of this video. I do not encourage or condone any products, actions, or behaviors shown in this video. All videos are produced in a safe, professional, and controlled environment. Please do not attempt to replicate any actions performed during video. All actions are performed by professionals.
Alright, so today I'm going to be smoking a cigarette, but it has to remain in frame for the entire video. This is going to be quite the challenge, as most of the time when I make smoking videos, I do every once in a while take the cigarette I'm smoking off camera, and I ash it onto the ground or into my ashtray, or I simply readjust it in my hand. But today, none of that is going to be happening, because today the challenge is to keep this cigarette right here on screen, in the frame, for the entire duration of this video. That means that every time I want to ash this cigarette, I have to lift my ashtray I have with me today and, well, make sure my cigarette stays in frame while I'm ashing it in my ashtray. I also just have to make sure I don't put my arms down or anything like that and accidentally take it off frame, because then that will be challenge failed. Without a doubt, this is going to be a difficult challenge, and this is going to be an experience without a doubt. What I have with me today is, of course, this cigarette right here. To be precise, it is an American Spirit Black cigarette from the United States. Now, I would have started this video with it in the pack. However, the cigarette itself would have been covered up if I had it in the pack at the beginning of this video. It would have been covered up by the pack, which would have meant that it is, well, or was at that point, or would have been at that point, off frame or out of the frame, just because it was covered up by something else. So couldn't have it in the pack for the beginning of this video, but I'm going to be smoking an American Spirit Black today, and I'm looking forward to doing exactly that, because I feel a little bit out of it. I'm feeling like I need a little bit of nicotine, and I'm feeling like I want a cigarette. I'm going to go ahead and get my lighter out of my pocket real quick, just very carefully holding the cigarette in my hand. Normally when I'm getting my lighter out of my pocket, I would either have the cigarette in my mouth or I would have it kind of down to my side, but not today. I'm just holding it in my hand just like this, just for this moment in time, just to make sure it stays on frame. If I put it in my mouth, I might accidentally drop it by accident because I'm talking right now, and then it would fall out of frame, and I certainly can't be putting my arm to my side right now, especially if my cigarette's in the hand, because, well, I don't want the cigarette to go off frame. Now that I have my lighter out of my pocket, though, and I'm a little bit out of it, I do need a little bit of nicotine. I am ready for a little bit of nicotine. Now that I have my lighter out of my pocket, though, I do think it is time for me to go ahead and get this cigarette right here all lit up, and I do think it is time for me to go ahead and get to, well, smoking a cigarette, but the cigarette is on camera, is in frame for the entire duration of the video. The title's somewhere along those lines, isn't it? Without further ado, let's go ahead and get this cigarette all lit up, and let's go ahead and get to smoking. And I've got to be very careful when I'm bringing it back. I got to make sure my hand doesn't go over there, or down, or up. I've got to be very careful. Without further ado, let's get to smoking, y'all. Yes, sir, you know what I'm saying? And one other thing I've got to be very careful about, a lot of times when I put my lighter back in my pocket, I'll tend to be taking a puff while I'm doing so, and I tend to lean over to the side, and the cigarette goes a little bit off frame while I'm doing that. I can't do that today, though, so I've got to be really careful. But so far, we are making good progress. Thankfully, the lens on my phone camera is wider than not. It's not a super narrow lens, which definitely makes this experience a little bit easier than it would otherwise be. However, I have accidentally made this experience a little bit harder for myself than it really needed to be by choosing to smoke in American Spirit Black. American Spirit Black smoke for a very long time, and so as such, due to that extended time that the smoke, I'm simply giving myself more time to accidentally take it out of the frame, to take it off camera. Yeah, I gotta be really, really, really careful. I think another thing I need to be really careful about is I need to make sure that the cigarette itself doesn't get too close to the, well, like, edge, the border of the frame and whatnot. So to make that easier on myself, I can kind of hold the cigarette back a little bit. If I hold it too close, and if my hand kind of like adjusts or something like that, or if my hand just sways and in general, then it might go off camera just because I'm holding it so close to the camera, to the edge of the frame. I got to be really careful about that as well. But it's time to ash this cigarette for the first time. I do think I've got my ashtray right here with another American Spirit Black that I smoked before this video in it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go like that, keeping it on frame just like that. It's all good. And just put the ashtray back down and take another hit. This is a challenge that has more depth to it than you might initially think, but there certainly is depth to this challenge. Now I'm trying to think of ways to make this easier on myself, and I'm thinking I could bring down the camera and kind of sit back a little bit, and then I wouldn't have to hold the cigarette so far up. My arm right now, it's getting a little bit tired from holding the cigarette up all the time. I can't adjust and switch the cigarette to my other arm, but my other arm will start getting tired in a little bit. So I think maybe bringing the camera down, let's do it very slowly, because if I do it too quickly, then the cigarette will go off frame if I knock over the camera or something like that kind of thing. So I'm going to be very slow about this. Bring it down slowly but surely. Lean back. Is that good? My arm can't quite rest on my armrest on the chair I'm sitting on, so I'm going to bring it down just a little bit more now, just like that. And now I can be a little bit more comfy while making sure that I'm keeping the cigarette in frame on screen during the duration of this video. And I almost just let muscle memory take over. I almost just went to ash this cigarette in my ashtray right here. I almost accidentally took this cigarette off frame, and that would have been challenge failed right there. But thankfully, I caught myself at the very last moment, and I did not allow this cigarette to go off frame. It would have not been very good if it had gone off frame, that is without a doubt. Overall though, gotta admit, so far, solid smoke, quite rough, solid taste, and you know, a good amount of strength backing up the roughness that is there. Feeling my throat get a little bit rough without a doubt. I'm feeling like I need a little bit of a sip of water right now. I have my water bottle right off camera. The challenge today, of course, is to make sure I keep this cigarette on camera, in frame. It's not a challenge, that's all about the water bottle staying on frame. But to open the water bottle, generally I need two hands. I could just put the cigarette in my mouth and open it and then take a sip and make sure I keep this on frame. Or I could try to open it with one hand. What do I want to try? Can I open it with one hand? I don't think I can. Okay. What I'm gonna do real quick is I am going to take my cigarette, put it in my other hand. I'm gonna grab my ashtray. I'm very quickly going to ash it. And gonna do that. Just keep it on frame, keep it on frame. Put that back down. And I'm going to, very quickly, open that. Take a hit. And just take a little bit of a sip of water. That was definitely, I think, probably the best approach I could have done to be able to take a sip of water while maintaining this cigarette on screen. Yeah, definitely being just a little bit careful. Having to be a little bit careful, because if I let muscle memory take over, then it's all over. And that won't be very good. That won't be very good. One other thing I need to keep in mind, most of the time when I stub my cigarette out and I'm making a smoking video, I stub it out off camera. Now I can be really careful. I can make sure I stub it out on camera, but I've also got to make sure that this cigarette butt stays on camera until the very end of the video. So I've got to make sure that it is visibly in the ashtray until the very end of the video. There's a lot more going on with this challenge than I thought. This is a harder challenge than I thought it was going to be, honestly. Just gonna go ahead and make Make sure that's on screen. Go like that. Okay. Very difficult challenge. Very difficult. This challenge has so many more layers than I thought it was going to. And I'm very thankful. I'm very thankful that I went to the bathroom before this video, because if I hadn't and I needed to go to the bathroom during this video, then I would have to put the, well, cigarette off screen in my ashtray. I don't have like a holder to hold my cigarette on screen. Yeah. Excuse me. This is definitely a challenge which takes some focus. I am focusing on making sure that this cigarette stays on screen right now. This is taking a little bit of focus. And since my camera is lower now, I've just got to be really careful not to accidentally lift the cigarette up too much or bring it down too much. Just got to be really careful in general. All right, though, we're making good progress. We're almost done with this cigarette. I'm feeling buzzed. I am feeling buzzed. I am feeling very solid right now. And I really want to put my arms down, like just both my arms. I really want to put both of them down right now. And I just want to put the cigarette down to the side of my leg like I normally do when I'm normally smoking, both on and off video. But that's just not possible right now, because if I did that, I would fail the challenge. This is a test of how much control I have over my muscle memory. I think that's really the right way of describing this challenge. It is a challenge to see how much control I have over muscle memory. I've been smoking a certain way for the last, oh man, over 5 years, over 6 years. And now I'm having to make sure that I don't smoke that certain way during this video today. This is over 6 years of muscle memory being rejected right now. It's a difficult challenge. It's a difficult challenge. Now, the good thing is, I made sure to choose an ashtray that is glass for this video. So y'all can still kind of see the cigarette through the glass, and so as such, it remains on frame, even if it is technically behind something. It's still on frame because the ashtray I'm using is glass. If I wasn't using an ashtray that was glass, this would be a much harder challenge, but thankfully, this challenge has been made easier by that. There's definitely different ways to optimize this challenge. Glass ashtray, sitting back in a way that's really comfortable, using a really wide angle camera. These are all ways to optimize this challenge. I think I have, I'm thinking probably 2 more hits left. Alrighty though, I think that's it. We're gonna go ahead and stub this cigarette out just like that. And I'm just gonna leave the cigarette butt right there. It's on frame, we can see it, it's all good. And before I accidentally take the cigarette off frame, I'm gonna go and end this video right here. Thank you so much for watching this video, where I, from what I can tell at least, successfully completed the challenge of trying to make sure that I don't take the cigarette I'm smoking off frame a single time during an entire video. I appreciate y'all watching today's video. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching. If you guys have enjoyed watching, of course, like, subscribe, check out my Patreon, my book, my merch, my Instagram, all in the description down below. Until the next one, y'all, stay safe in peace and have a great one. Yes, sir, you know what I'm saying?